going on, dudes and dudettes? So yes, the All-Star starters were named today on Inside the NBA today on TNT. And of course on the West side, the leading vote getter was of course LeBron James, and it was his 20th time getting that, obviously if you're LA Lakers. And I believe he's going to still be named a captain, even though this year they're not doing like that fantasy draft that they used to do where like the main guys who are voted high on East and West would choose who was their team basically. Sorry, I'm gonna fix this light really quick. But yeah, overall it's gonna be pretty cool to see what ends up happening with that. As long as it goes back to being regular and somewhat of a game, then I think we should be fine overall. But yeah, definitely looking forward to seeing what ends up happening with that next month. And even one of the starters on the East side, ex-Duke player Jayson Tatum, as well, got his 5th time being an All-Star. So that was pretty cool for him. Definitely one of the better guys out there, especially from Duke, and definitely leading that team, sadly, the Celtics, to some new heights. But yeah, hopefully he doesn't end up beating the Lakers in the final at some point soon. Yes, Lincoln Riley is still on the road, and yeah, he did make a couple of interesting visits to some top offensive linemen in 2025. A 4-star offensive tackle and Andrew Babalola, hopefully I'm saying that correct, and an interior offensive lineman, Brock Heath. And I believe they're at the same school, which is pretty cool. 2 teammates, maybe they'll come as a package deal with whatever team, whichever team ends up signing them. That'd be pretty cool if you're able to get both of them, and maybe the 3-star interior offensive lineman guy will bump himself up to a 4-star and be as talented as his other guy on that offensive line. So we'll see what ends up happening. Like I said, he's still on the road doing work, trying to get some of these recruits at least get in their head to maybe make some other offers that he hasn't yet, or to make sure and reaffirm a lot of offers as well, even though they went through a defensive coaching change and all that stuff. But yes, he's meeting with both offense and defense, so that is pretty important, especially for the head coach to do. And then On 3, I believe, recently put out like a top 8 or something list of, and not NFL, college coaches to win their first title. And a lot of these guys, I was kind of surprised, had not won their first title yet, but they gave Lincoln Riley and USC the 7th best odds to win, which I'm assuming is this year, which is pretty interesting because I'm pretty sure they're not going to vote USC as a top 7 team overall in the country when the final AP poll comes out right before the season later this year. But either way, the chance is a chance, and we'll see what ends up happening. I know some other schools have some pretty easy schedules, but yeah, USC is pretty tough this year, and even going a little bit into next year. So hopefully it will lighten up a bit, and we'll see what ends up happening with that Michigan situation as well, with some more players heading into the transfer portal. But yeah, definitely very looking forward to this season coming up for 2024. And a 247 sports analyst recently did a mock draft, and of course he had USC's Caleb Williams going number 1, but then he also had the Chargers selecting cornerback from Alabama, Terrion Arnold, who I actually like. He's one of the more interesting, better players I've liked on Alabama's secondary this year. But for him to be picked that high, I don't think he's that much of a lockdown, game-changing type of defensive player, especially at that position. I think if they end up trading back a couple spots and still getting him while getting some future draft capital, I think that would be the way to go. But picking him up that high, I don't even think he's going to test well when it comes to combine and all that stuff, because he is you can't test, like, because the tape doesn't lie, because he is pretty grabby when it comes to being a cornerback and a defensive back. And yeah, he tries to pull receivers here and there, get away with it. He has for the most part, especially even playing at Alabama. But yes, he does get called a lot for those fouls as well, and it will be even more called a lot easier in the NFL. So he has to work on that, but if he does, and we'll see how his numbers do. But yeah, it's pretty interesting that they had him selecting there, but I don't only like it in the first round if they move back for the Chargers. So yeah, that was pretty interesting. And then a little bit of other news when it came to the Anaheim Ducks. Yeah, sadly they lost. I think they were on the road in Dallas 3-4. in overtime, which for some reason you still get a point if you lose in overtime, but as of right now, they've had too many losses on the rest of the schedule that I don't think it's going to help them points-wise to get in for the playoffs. But yes, that was your sad Anaheim Ducks update for the day. And the Los Angeles Lakers played tonight against the Chicago Bulls. Ended up getting that victory, 141-132. D'Angelo Russell had like 29 points, and I believe he had 8 3-pointers as well. So like I said, of course, he's all of a sudden hot when it's coming to trade season. Hopefully that is helping the Lakers not have to give up more in a trade. But yeah, have to give him his props for the way he's been playing so far. And I know the schedule was a bit easier for the Lakers, but I mean, yeah, it's impressive he scored 140 something points, but he still gave up 132. So I don't know how happy you could be about this game. I have not watched the highlights yet because I'm doing this video Thursday night, a little bit right after that game had just ended, so I missed it. But yes, I will be diving into those soon after this recording of this video. But yeah, pretty crazy how that game ended out. Luckily, it was in a victory for LA. And then when it came to a report out there saying that the Washington Wizards might be a third team to be involved with the Lakers and Hawks trade to get DeJounte Murray to LA. And obviously the Lakers are interested in that because they have another player that they're interested in the point guard Tyus Jones, ex-Duke player that I've been mentioning. And I'm pretty sure I've done a mock draft mixing up these guys, but I wanted to do more of an official one as of right now to maybe get it going and all this stuff, because I know that since the Hawks don't really want D'Angelo Russell, that's why they're bringing in a third team, and Washington is okay with it because they can work out a deal if they keep the guy or not. Plus, if they get Russell, he's on the player option, so you're not 100% knowing if he is coming back anyways, and they don't mind because they don't have that much money on their books. But when it comes to the Hawks, you could probably get away with not giving them a high pick or a less protected pick. You never know. But when it came to this trade, obviously I had the Lakers getting DeJounte Murray from the Hawks and Tyus Jones from the Washington Wizards. Then I have the Hawks getting Gabe Vincent and Jalen Hood-Schifino from the Lakers, plus the 2029 first-round pick, top 5 protected. So obviously, if it ends up in the top 5 that year, the Lakers get it back, and I think it rolls over to the next year. But obviously, I have the protection on here because they aren't completing basically the first trade. So you obviously had to find a third team in Washington who's going to be taking Russell in this deal. So I think they will be okay with that protection, especially since it's like, 4-5 years down the road. So either way, I think this should be fine. And if it's not, then maybe a top 3 protected, because if it's like, if you go higher, like a top 7, top 10 protected, that means it's more likely that the Lakers will get that pick that year. So the higher you go, the less likely that it will be for the Lakers. So either way, it works out that way. But the Washington Wizards in this trade will be getting, like I said, D'Angelo Russell. And I threw in there a 2024 and 2025 second-round picks as well from the Lakers. So it could be nice for them to get that. And I know recently the Lakers have had some, success trading with Washington as well. And to be able to get back a guy like Tyus Jones, I think will be very beneficial for their bench. He does not have to start for them, obviously, in this trade because you get DeJounte Murray. But a lot of guards moving around here, especially some that haven't been playing for the Lakers. You kind of hope that Atlanta is okay with taking Gabe Vincent and see how he does eventually. After this season, I know he will be on the Bucks for 3 years because I don't really want to give up Rui Hachimura. But in this scenario, I guess you can give up Rui Hachimura to the Hawks, and the money still sort of works out, and then you hope Gabe Vincent at some point comes back healthy enough at the end of the year to help them in the playoffs. But yeah, either way, it's a lot of moving parts here and mixing and matching, so hopefully this mock can be a blueprint to what ends up happening down the road, but hoping for some good news about that a Lakers trade at some point in the near future. And Duke football released their 2024 football schedule. I know their ACC schedule released, I think it was Wednesday. I forgot to talk about it that day, but now it's official with the other non-conference games in there as well. So they start off the year against Elon at home, so that's probably going to be a win. They got Northwestern away, which was a pretty close game, but I think they could get that victory. UConn at home, the third game. I think that's a victory for Duke. And they get Middle Tennessee State away. I still think they could get that victory. Then they get North Carolina at home. That's pretty much a toss-up. We'll see. And then they get Georgia Tech away. I think that could be a win. And they get Florida State at home. That's probably going to be a loss. Then SMU at home, one of the new schools to come into the ACC. I still think they could win that. And they're at Miami. The next week, that's probably a loss. And then they get North Carolina State away. Then Virginia Tech at home could be a win. And Wake Forest away as well. So I probably still see it once again, like, if we're being honest, with a first-year coach, maybe a 6 to 8, trying to push for 9 wins in this season. There's a couple of games in there that could be toss-ups, and you just never know the way the ball goes, and Duke could win that, but we'll see how good Malik Murphy is, and maybe he could push for a nice Heisman candidacy this next season coming up. I kind of doubt it, because I don't know if he has enough around him to do that, but if he's just an all-star and sensational, then you just never know, right? So yes, thanks for watching, people. Like and subscribe. Comment down below. Let me know what y'all think. Have a great rest of your day. Bye.